All right, we are connected for the morning, midday check-in, and as always, looking forward to connecting, share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. I wanted to wait a little bit to see if that early morning ceiling that was touched and rejected is holding off, and apparently it is. So, want to connect, share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. As always, for those who are plugged in, thank you for blessing with your presence, as well as for those who might be coming in late. Either one, let me know what you're seeing, what you're hearing, and we will do the most to make this a worthwhile connection. So as of now, looks like a couple things is not working on my end here. So I might have to start it again, but I'll give it a second to see if some people log in and then we'll go from there. But other than that, another dollar, another day, another slam down, and the probability of a crypto hack. So appreciate you for blessing with your time. For those who are plugged in, if you can hear me, let me know. I'm seeing some failed attempts on the back end here, so perhaps something is not working. So let me check what happened to Unstoppable Silver. Unstoppable, give it time. And so a part of the long time manipulation on metals in general is that they're always proven to invent new ways to keep the price capped. But then again, for me personally, with my belief of where things end up, I actually hope it goes lower. So that's what I'm hoping for. So, and based upon the trend, it looks like, there's a possibility it could go lower. Okay. So I say all that because right now, silver attempted to touch the ceiling of 60, but it got rejected. But then on top of all that, we got, crypto, a wallet hack on top of all the other hacks I talked about, and in reference to the whole cryptographic distributed ledger technology space. I don't really think we've even seen the worst of what's going to happen, because the code, that's one of the things, like the code that was written up until this point was done by man's hands. And now with these large language models exposing, vulnerabilities, and anything written by man is like, I'd imagine there's going to be more stories on top of what's coming. So, but anyway, I want to connect, share my 2 cents, and just thumb through some headlines, share some narratives, give something on the alternative side of things, and of course, get your take. So feel free to give me some thoughts, ideas, suggestions, whatever you're keeping your eyes on, whatever concerns you the most. And we'll make the most of it. But looks like I am streaming. So I'm trying to make sure I'm streaming on Rumble and YouTube at the same time. And as always, signals get crossed when you're mixing all this stuff on the back end. And we'll go from there. But let's just jump right into it. I'm not going to waste any more time. I want to, because I have, lots of subjects, and I just want to stick to the primary subject at hand, which is what the title is about: silver and crypto hacks. Just because I think, what we're witnessing now in the crypto hacks is literally just the beginning. Just the beginning. I'm going to share my 2 cents with it. Okay, so first and foremost, let's just jump right into price action. So as we can see here, it's that area at the very top where silver attempted to touch 60, got rejected at 59, I think 13 or so. And then, of course, gold also did the same. And so that, to me, is what true price suppression looks like, when I believe it's coordinated from the standpoint of, you got the Eastern and the Western hemisphere, as I said before, all attempt to do the same thing. And so my screen is all of a sudden acting up on me. So I didn't want this particular chart here. So I don't know why I'm getting the wrong price. Let me go back here. So man, if it's not one thing, it's another. All right. So maybe I can get, okay. So, okay, bet. So this morning, so literally this morning, watching market activity. And so, as I mentioned, we closed Thursday here. Before market close here in the Western hemisphere, it got up to 59.29, as you can see on the screen here. And then markets closed, opened in Asia, and then it attempted to attempted to try to recover back to that 29, got rejected between 59.14, came down to 58.39, attempted to make another rally, came down again, came down, and ever since then it's just been trending downward. Where when I was looking at the charts this morning from the European activity from the LBMA, there was almost a dollar drop, to where the chart was, flatline. It was like going straight across, and then it just dropped. I'm like, whoa, okay, so this could be an interesting way to end the week, with when it comes to price suppression in that sense. So we'll have to see. But let me check in with the chat real quick. It's Friday. Where's Mario? Yeah, haven't done Mario. Me and Mario haven't connected in a minute, man. Just do schedule changes. Initially was a year ago, I think. And on top of that, his pathway is a little bit different than mine. And he's primarily focused on the macro side and the monetary side. And for me personally, I want to touch a little bit of everything based upon my opinion. So, but I can't not factor in the spiritual side of things, because ultimately, all the gold and silver in the world, it's only good as long as you're allowed to do something with it. But then once all that comes to a halt, hopefully through all this stuff that I'm giving here, give me a little bit of spiritual hope as well for those who don't want to touch that subject, but you're going to be confronted with it anyway. So you might as well slowly but surely work your way into it. So that's why I think, message wise, we're, venturing off in a little different spaces, whatever, still talking about the same subject matter. And so that's what's up with that. But on top of that, I also got a lot of other things I'm trying to work on outside of this, which makes it hard to really coordinate all that. Okay, so point in case is, okay, as of right now, let's just get into where we're at now. So as I showed, the silver touching 60 was rejected. And the goal, of course, as we can tell, is to get to 55. And so it's good to say, if nothing happens in the markets, this really spooks things. Of course, we got interest rates going up. The Japanese yen situation is a problem. We got rumors of war and everything else in between. But unless something actually breaks to where the Fed responds or the government has to come out with an announcement pointing at a boogeyman or something like that, I anticipate everything remaining somewhat stagnant, meaning the Fed funds rates and the lack of movement up or down in that department will play into this continuing to trend down further, because ultimately, at the end of the day, as the liquidity constraints continue, more people are just going to be forced to have to liquidate, and you liquidate the fastest thing or the easiest thing to move, which happen to be papers for those that actually have paper still. But then, of course, in the Western Hemisphere, they're getting physical. So the East is dumping paper, the West is getting physical, or the East is getting physical, the West is dumping paper. So I can see this chugging along bit by bit. Some signs of hope as far as touching 60, then it being slammed until it breaks 55. And then it's going to go below 55, and 55 might be the new ceiling come August, September, depending on what happens. Okay, so that's what silver is happening, what's going on with silver. But what really caught my attention was in the social media sphere from yesterday evening, crypto hack. And the reason I want to touch on that is because I mentioned, I think last week, that there was a couple DeFi projects that was unraveled. And I gave my theory as to why that is. And it has to do with the advancements of these large language models. And you got OpenAI, Anthropic, and Gemini, which are the three leading ones. And the models that they're putting before us to use and play around with, they're the version ones. Clearly, they have something stronger and more powerful in the back end that they're using, because Claude Mythos 5 in April was given to Wall Street institutions and too big to fail banks for them to check their computer code. So it's good to say there are some people within that system that have access to some very powerful tools that are literally out here exposing things. And the reason that crypto is important, because it's what our government wants us to pay attention to. So the Stablecoin Act with stablecoins, mind you, is built on the same architecture of the distributed ledger technology, code-based ledger stuff, as all these other things. And even the wallets to support all this it's all computer code, all made by man's hands. And so therefore it's very vulnerable. And the result of that will be, if there's any threat to the government being able to steer us in our direction, they're going to have to step in. And so I foresee a time where if people want to have a sense of calm and comfort when it comes to their crypto possessions, the government's going to step in and say, you have to host it at an authorized, approved company, whether it's Coinbase or they're going to create some type of government branch. They will, some type of government agency for the crypto that the government decides to hold at some point. And unless you deposit your funds in there, you won't be FDIC insured or something like that, which is going to steer a lot of currency into the hands of safety. Hence the idea, you disrupt this wild, wild west computer code forcing people to have to choose whether or not they want to stay in the wild, wild west with the risk of being hacked and losing all their funds, or you come into the government hands and they backstop it and insure it to where you feel safer, because if the government gets hacked, I'm going to get paid out in dollars, so I'll be good. I'll be made whole. That's what's coming. It's just so obvious how the government works. They don't want you to be free, so they're going to create a crisis and then steer you towards their solution, which is the Hegelian dialect. So that's what's going to be probable. Okay, but reason I mention all that, because as I'm scrolling through my X, and I'm seeing all types of crypto hack, and it's just concerning that you got a lot of people in the crypto space right now running, scrambling, trying to get out of a cold wallet that has drained people of their funds. And so everybody has an opinion, everybody has an analysis on it, and they're coming from the obvious because it just happened. I'm more so presenting an argument as to what could be coming in the near future. And that's what I'm talking about. So everything I'm saying here is centered around the idea of what I believe could come in the near future. And if it does, you want to be aware of it, because all the other commentators that I mentioned, but all the other commentators out here, they have to stick to the here and now based upon what we know. Very few of them are willing to put a tinfoil hat on and go ahead and project, just as a way of giving people something to think about and to have them, I guess, prepare somehow, some way beyond what is conventional. So that's where I come in as an alternative person that, looks at both things and try to come out and make sense and filter the noise. But let me just share with you, for those who care and for those who don't, because here's the thing, whether you're in the crypto or not doesn't matter, because it's coming, because our government has already made it official. And so it's more so, you're going to participate in something that comes through the centrally controlled entities, because the legacy has been captured by the new technocratic takeover, and digital ledgers are part of the future, hands down. You won't be able to pay your bills to keep your lights on unless you have a authorized digital ID in a wallet that is centrally controlled by some entity using some stable coin, quasi CBDC. So just accept it. So that's what people say, I'm not going to never use it. What are you fighting? What are you fighting? You're fighting a lost cause, because this is how things have to go. And so it's not like I'm giving up, but I never thought for one second that there was going to be a man in a suit and a tie that's going to come in the world and say, we're going to make America great again. Yada, yada, yada. Okay. But here's what's trending. So this is literally 23 minutes ago. The reason I'm going through all this because you got people who lost millions. And I just couldn't imagine that gut feeling in your stomach where you just open up your wallet and it's gone. Like your life savings. Michael Saylor told you to sell your house, your kids, your dogs, and all of a sudden you open your wallet and it's gone. Like, that's a scary situation to be in. And that's the risk when you deal with computer code. And that's just a reality. And I'm going to lay out a case to why I don't even think we even started. Okay, so here's what's happening. It says Bitcoin hardware wallet Coldcard has been exploited for 594,000, not thousand. It looked like 1,000. 594 Bitcoin, 38 million. More than 500 victims who believed their Bitcoin was secure in a hardware wallet lost all of their funds overnight, with 594 drained within just 25 minutes. So think about this. It took 25 minutes for 500 victims. So think about it. 500 victims, 500 wallets in 25 minutes. If that doesn't sound like a higher up agency heist, I don't know what does. Who moves that fast unless they got some power behind what they're trying to do? And so, man, 500 wallets, 594. So based upon that ratio there, if it's 500 victims, 594 BTC, that's approximately one Bitcoin per wallet that was stored, whether same wallet, same entity, or many people, regardless, gone. And it's good to say, if you look at the blockchain, you can tell all 500 victims' coins probably went to the same wallet. And you got to ask yourself, who's that mega mind, the brains behind the operation that did that? I don't know who it is, but based upon the speed and the rate and the tempo, I know they got access to some things that the ordinary person doesn't. And so it said the majority of the funds sit in this wallet. So here's the wallet right here. So whoever owns this particular wallet here is sitting nice. And my suspicion would be it's a government agency in collaboration with one of these large language models, and they have a real version of their data processing language models that was able to exploit something quick. And so 25 minutes, man, that's pretty fast. But I think they can do better than that. I think from a time perspective, they can probably do a little bit better than that. So you better believe from the sinister side of things, they're like, man, 25 minutes, that's slow. We could have got caught. We got to do this in 10. We got to be in and out like a bank. So imagine this is like the modern day digital heist where you walk into a bank, physical bank on the corner. You got your 3 or 4 people watching out. You got the getaway car. You walk in the bank with your mask on. Now you just literally open up your laptop. You got your large language model, Mythos 5 times 10. So this could be an Asia, this could be a China hack, this could be a North Korean hack, this could be, and watch, this was gonna happen. I'm just talking as I go. This vulnerability has to be addressed by the government in order to keep confidence in the system so they can still steer people in that direction. Nothing will disrupt the government's agenda. So this is going to be addressed. They have to address this from a public perception standpoint, because if people start thinking like, oh, they're going to have to address it. So the SEC, FTC, all these ICs and 3-letter, 4-letter agents, they're going to come out investigating, and watch. They're going to find a little, 19-year-old college kid at Yale. They're going to pin it on him. They're going to say he was in his grandparents' basement and managed to hack this 38 million. They're going to, so they already got the cover up. It's just so obvious, man. This stuff after a while is just like, wow. Okay, but think about this. People's funds are going to say this is worse than any previous Bitcoin exchange hack. It's arguably one of the worst things that could happen. It says the popular hardware wallet Coldcard has a faulty random number generator. It says funds are being drained from ordinary users' hardware wallets. You read this, right? And so this is just a little bit, and this is just a cold wallet. Mind you, there's every company in this space decided to come up with their own wallet. So you better believe every single hardware company now has to double check any vulnerabilities. But then again, you can only do so much with the human eye. And what's happening is the models that are available are far greater than any of the language models that we have available to us now. So what that means is you have people who will actually be out here trying to secure themselves, but all along you can't secure yourself from what you don't know is attacking you. And that's where we get into the fact that this is a coordinated institutional attack from up high in collaboration with the tech sector. And so the whole public-private partnership, this could be in that line there to spook a lot of people. And it's going to cause somewhat of a sell-off more than likely if it happens again. So that's why the government has to get involved. Okay, so let me give you some more. So let me share with you my theory. So here on the screen is an article that came out, and it talks about Claude Mythos finds new cryptographic algorithm attacks. So Claude Mythos in April said that they model was so strong that the government came out saying that we can't let it out, but they were given permission to allow big institutions to test their back end. So you have to ask yourself, if Claude Mythos is that strong, it's good to say China now has, figured out how to copy that same thing, and if not, do it bigger and better. So China got a model, Anthropic got a model, Russia not going to be just sitting around doing nothing. They got a model. So if you are competing for world supremacy, you're going to create you a model, a large language model that can do some things that disrupt stuff. So ain't no telling what government, what agency might be heavily invested in trying to crack just the basic code. Because my personal opinion, and I see somebody in the chat mention that Bitcoin was created by the NSA and hardly heat because of the music. Okay, my bad. Forgive me. I did not. It's low on my end. Okay. Forgive me. I didn't even know. I heard it was faint. So the whole goal was to have it faint as like a little background music. So anyway, Hardy can hear you. Okay, so forgive me. But back to what I was saying. Okay, so if you got nation states racing to try to secure large language model capabilities to disrupt things, this is not even quantum based. We're just talking about generic data compilation into these language models, training them on billions upon billions of billions, try trillions of try token out, whatever, all that technical stuff. Okay, so that's what we up against. So I don't doubt that one of these large language models has an ability to do it, i.e., Anthropic for sure. We know about them. Okay, so here you have something that's even spookier. And so it says, uh, it says using American artificial intelligence giant Anthropic's Claude, the researchers found a way to more efficiently attack Hawk. Hawk, just what is Hawk? Which is a post quantum digital signature candidate. So, Hawk is something created by a major institution designed to help prepare encryption models for quantum. So, quantum is not here yet in the capacity that people are scared of it, but Claude helped crack a post quantum candidate. And mind you, Claude's Anthropic, Mythos, whatever, is just a large language model. And it's not even like the capacity to do what quantum is supposed to do. So think about that. If they put Claude Mythos in conjunction with a real quantum computer that we do have. So if you search, China got the strongest one. I guess Gemini might have it. Now Google might have it. So you put Mythos with Claude, Mythos with the quantum, and you let them connect right now. I would imagine you can crack a lot of cryptocurrencies and wallets and everything else because they're just Claude alone was able to help hack this here. So it says here, not a standard under the review by the U.S. National Institute of Standards and Technology. So this Hawk is under the review of a pretty big government entity. It looks like it says they also demonstrated a technique to break a weak version of the advanced encryption standard up to 800 times faster than ever before. So here you have Mythos cracking government stuff already. And you don't think they're out here trying to crack DeFi wallets and cold store, which is going to be cakewalk. It's going to be a cakewalk. And so, mind you, as like last week, I reported on about 5 hacks of wallets and all types of stuff. Mind you, this is just elementary stuff because it's cracking government stuff already. And government already has supposed to be SHA-256. So I'm assuming they're using that type of encryption as at least the base. And so it says, before you panic, it's not going to render everything useless overnight. What it does show is how they can be useful in examining new candidates or even old ones. So, right, that's what we're being told. Don't panic. It's in good hands. The governments are going to make sure it doesn't get out of control. Okay. So you take all that, you sum it up. What does that mean? The large language models that are known are weak compared to what they're holding on to, which makes everything crypto related vulnerable because no code written by man is flawless because, once again, cryptography is always an evolving thing as computing power increases. And so anything done by man is vulnerable because man is subject to vulnerability. That's just our nature. And anything that comes from our hands is also subject to those same vulnerabilities. So hence the idea of crypto being very problematic along with banking and everything else. But because the goal is to make sure nobody owns nothing and you'll be happy with it, they're going to make sure they protect the too big to fail banks, anything to do with the government in reference to what they have already positioned as the solution to their problem they're creating now, they're going to make sure they're covered. But anything that's in the wild, wild west of crypto, altcoins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, any of those coins, you better believe a lot of developers now are scrambling to see how fast they can move to try to get a hold of some of these models to audit their code. And even the code that is audited doesn't guarantee that it's going to be able to surpass the type of technology I just talked about. That's just my 2 cents. Okay, but for those who are plugged in, somebody says the cold wallets all have backdoors. 100%. That's just how it is. And so hopefully, the music is gone. I apologize. I wasn't aware. I thought it was low. It's supposed to be playing low, but my error. So if it is too much of a problem for those who are checking in with me, I'll just, if it's unbearable to listen to, then I'll just delete the video and move on. No harm, no foul. But the goal is to try to put all this together, give you a narrative, give you something to think about, and just try to give you something that you won't hear from mainstream media. So hopefully you guys appreciate that. And if you do, to this point, hit that thumbs up button, show some support for the channel. It always helps the algorithms for whatever that's worth. Okay, so Ah, lastly, here I'm just going to talk a little. Well, I don't even need to go back. The Coldcard wallet, and all the panic that's taking place on X. I'll let people. Yeah, a lot of people are scrambling right now, boy. You better believe that. But what else we got in news that's worth touching on? Um, Here's something. Cyber attacks is still in the equation. So apparently, Donald Trump is sharing his 2 cents, and I haven't heard this yet, but I'm going to we're going to listen in on just a little soundbite from Donald Trump that is posted an hour ago talking about cyber attacks. So don't forget, Cyber Polygon. We were told that there's a cyber event waiting on us that we haven't seen yet. That will be like nothing that we've ever seen. So that's always a hat up the sleeve they can pull. Let's just try to listen to this real quick and see what he's talking about.
We heard in Minnesota there was a cyber attack, and they blame it on Iran. I don't think so. I blame it on Minnesota because they're grossly incompetent. There was a cyber attack of 30 water plants, and I would blame it on Minnesota and the corrupt governor of Minnesota. They like to say, oh, it was Iran. Iran should be so lucky. Iran's got bigger problems than worrying about Minnesota.
Okay, so it looks like 30 water plants in Minnesota was not Iran, blaming Minnesota itself and their corrupt government. So once again, not sure how the corrupt government decided to hijack themselves. And so once again, if there's a cyber attack, anything to do with computer code, you get these large language models, i.e., Claude and the copycats of that. They can literally be out here testing some things right now. So it wouldn't surprise me as that Claude and all the other language models being used as a cover for what the actual our government itself is doing, because they're always trying to scare people. The scare tactic is number one method to use to make sure that you always run to Uncle Sam and the government saying, "Hey, protect us. We need help. Do something about it." And then they say, "Yeah, we got you. We're about to pass the, don't hack Americans crypto clarity act or some crap." Anyway, but that's just different. And let's see what else is happening. Oh, curious to get your thoughts on the video I did yesterday about this gentleman here and all the things that transpire. A lot of people understand. Most people don't. Well, most people just don't want to touch it. I understand. It's better to play, I guess, safe than be sorry. But regardless, that's not going to stop them from doing what they got to do. But apparently, though, Israel and Spain and their invasion of Morocco, they got so many Moroccans flooding their country that it's becoming a problem for Spain. And people are pointing it back to Israel or Netanyahu and company. So whether or not it's true or not, I don't know. But time will tell. Time will tell. Okay, what else we got here? Here is something else that I didn't mention yesterday, but I thought was, interesting to say the least. It is Alex Jones. And so apparently, all of a sudden now, Alex Jones is flipping the script, wants to impeach the very same president that he was rooting for, ran for. And you would think outside of Alex Jones, he's changed a lot over the last couple of years. And I know that he's aware of more than we'll ever know, but you always need the good guy, bad guy, and an instigator in between to remind people, which clearly Alex Jones is an instigator of what used to be considered a more righteous cause for our country, but a lot of suspect things since then. But nevertheless, I would question a person who is so diehard on thinking that a single individual can disrupt this current experience we're having and actually bring about change. That person, I would say they're very foolish or naive. But anyway, Alex Jones calls for immediate Trump impeachment. So I posted this in a Telegram chat, and it was one of them things where I'm like, dude, like, and then put in who. At this point, we're 3 years away from them being completed with their destruction and rebuilding of our country. You think somebody gonna step in and just do a better job? No. JD Vance is a puppet. Marco Rubio is a puppet. All our governments, as I showed you yesterday, bow and kiss the ring of the man. So who you gonna put in office at this point? And that's where I'm like, dog, this is just foolishness, man. Come on now. Alex Jones should know better. But it's a good, interesting article. Okay, so somebody say see. What do I think about the flock cameras? Yeah, I see them everywhere. Not surprised at them at all. And I have my viewpoints about just the advancements of the surveillance state in general. And once again, it falls in line with what I just mentioned about Alex Jones. Given what is at stake, the only thing that would give our country a chance to slow down, slow down, you can't stop, slow down the advancements of this surveillance state that's building, the impending war that's coming. Boots going to be on the ground for sure. At the same time, our economy collapse. So if everybody's scared of the stock market by 2027 collapsing, you better believe they're going to put some boots on the ground before the end to create the currency needed to prop that up. So yeah, but about flock cameras, they're just another way of offering alternatives for government entities to be able to spy on people, but they don't really need them because people already bought the Ring camera. So look, go down your block, go down your street, go in your neighborhood. Everybody got a Ring camera, so they got eyes and ears everywhere. They can see everything. And then, as I mentioned, this what during COVID when we were locked down for that 2 month time frame, they put up 5G towers every looks like quarter mile, and on every freeway on this country and major highway, they put up cameras then every major intersection. So they already got eyes. So the flock cameras might end up being for another entity. So the NSA see everything already. They're looking at you right now, looking at me on the phone. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like they don't see and hear everything. So flock to me is just another distraction. It happens to be something that's at the corner facing the direction of a passing car, making it look like they need your license plates. But if you think about it, if you look up even higher at that intersection, there's another camera there. They can see your license plates too. So once again, it gives people something to talk about, but ultimately there's no stopping the surveillance state. And so that's just how things will play out. Sure, you can cut down some polls here and there, but all it's going to do is just, make them figure out a new way to just put the cameras anywhere. But with a smartphone, a smartwatch, smart TV, smart thermometer, smart this, smart that, they hear, they see. So flock is just entertainment, just entertainment. So don't get all up over flock cameras. That's just something that is buzzing. It's trending right now because people are going around trying to cut them down. No, it don't work that way. It doesn't work that way. Okay, but what else? So beyond the silver ceiling that is still trending lower, and the crypto situation that has not even really started yet, I think the next couple of weeks is going to be interesting because now that BB's gone, it's good. We're going to find out what BB's meetings were with when he met with all of our leaders and they all sat down and behind closed doors and discussed. We're now going to find out what that meeting was about. And it's going to come from Donald Trump's Truth Social when he tweets out something in response to Iran and everything else. So, yeah, it's going to happen for sure. It is going to happen for sure. Donald Trump has a job to do, and nothing in the natural at this current moment can stop that. So, and so here is something else that let me give you the counter argument to what the media is trying to tell us about. And so I didn't even read the article. Don't even know the inner workings of the article. But just the title itself tells me exactly what this is about. So it says here, Trump says Israel very happy about Hamas disarmament deal. So think about this. Hamas disarmament deal. So what is this? Apparently, the Board of Peace have all concluded that Hamas has agreed or will agree that they will disarm the region of Gaza. So when I first saw that, my first thought was, you mean to tell me the same terrorists that supposedly attacked Israel on October 7th, 2 years ago, is now saying that, okay, we're going to give up. We're going to not defend ourselves anymore. We're going to give you all our arms and we're going to just roll over. That's kind of like the first thought that came to mind. And so now, out of curiosity, I want to find out exactly what is this deal and whose idea it was. And so let's see if we get some context here. It says, we do have an understanding with Israel. Israel is very happy. Israel helped us, and they've been very good about it, Trump said at Camp David. So once again, what exactly are within the details of this deal that the Board of Peace, think about this, the Board of Peace. So let me find out what this Hamas disarmament is, because what I hear with my ears is the Board of Peace, which happens to be comprised of a few Muslim nations, for the sake of getting an agreement with what Israel wants to accomplish. They're not pushing back against the genocide taking place in the Palestinian region because they obviously have a collaborated effort to work on something of their own. And so they're playing along with it. So it says Hamas says complete disarmament of, Trump says complete disarmament of Hamas agreed in Gaza, but Israel yet to accept. So this is 3 hours ago, but yet it looks like Israel said they'll agree. Oh, really? So the moment Bibi leaves, there's an agreement between the Board of Peace. Right. She asked herself, who's on the Board of Peace? That's the question. And who actually spoken with Hamas leadership? I don't think they're speaking with Hamas leadership. But it said Donald Trump has declared a breakthrough in negotiations over the disarmament of Hamas in Gaza and withdrawal of Israeli forces, issuing that so far stalled implementation of last October's ceasefire, but Israel has yet to respond officially to the government. Okay, announced an agreement on social media Thursday night. Trump said said it is involved in complete disarmament. It is involved in complete disarmament of Hamas and other armed groups in Gaza, and was a monumental step towards ending the fighting. So once again, this is all Western media telling us that Hamas has agreed, or the U.S. agreed on behalf of Hamas that they're going to disarm. But once again, you have to always go and see what Hamas is saying about this, because they can say that we ain't even spoke with none of this. We don't know what you're talking about. So it could be literally a way for the U.S. to put out propaganda media to get Hamas to respond publicly, so that our agencies can pinpoint where that text, where that message come from, or wherever the leader that might be hiding in a dungeon somewhere in Syria, speaking on behalf of the Palestinians, his signal might be known so they can bomb him. So you got to think about, like, there's a lot at stake here. But it says, point to Hamas failure to disarm. So where is the actual agreement by? And so it says, after months of negotiation in Cairo, the Board of Peace set up by Trump last year managed on Thursday to secure Hamas's agreement to roadmap for phased disarmament. So, yeah, none of this says that the Palestinians, i.e. under Hamas leadership, agreed on this. So this is more so the 14-point plan on Friday urges Israel, Hamas, and other Palestinian factions to halt all military operations. So the point in case is Western propaganda centered around the Board of Peace coming to an agreement. Board of Peace, let's find out who's all signed on to the Board of Peace, because I don't think it's changed, because they're wanting Saudi Arabia to join the Abraham Accords, of which they are hesitant without some stipulations being met on their side. Board of Peace, International. Okay, let's find out, because it's been a minute since I've checked into this. But we will look at the Board of Peace and see who is on this board, for the sake of seeing exactly how this information is supposed to be considered credible. Okay, so give it to you here. The Board of Peace. Ain't that something? And apparently all these nations here that are highlighted, they're on the Board of Peace. And so 27 members. Let's see what these 27 members are. Albania, Argentina, Armenia, Egypt, El Salvador. So all these nations here are supposedly on the Board of Peace. I don't see China. I don't see Russia. I don't see many outright BRIC nations per se, outside of partners and affiliates. So ultimately, this is a U.S. led, and Saudi Arabia agreed upon. And let's see, in Israel. So those are the three big players: Saudi Arabia, the U.S., and Israel. And so these individuals here came together, led by the big three, to say Hamas is going to, I guess, give up their weapons. So don't expect that to be the case at all. they're lying, I believe. But it shouldn't surprise us because ultimately the goal is to completely rid that area of all Palestinians so that we can build Trump Plaza. And the U.S. will fund every development in our region just because Bibi wants it. So that's just my 2 cents. Okay, but other than that, this is what's happening. Let me just check. So yeah, the bond market is definitely telling us something as well, but the bond market's been telling us something for quite some time now. I think they figured out how to make sure that they keep it from actually causing a meltdown. So here we have an hour ago from the Kobayashi letter. It says the bond market is out of control. The 30-year note is now up to 5.27, its highest level since June 2007. This officially marks a 450 basis point rally since 2020. At the current pace, we are on track to see the 30-year mortgage rates exceed 7.50. And to top it all off, Fed Chair Walsh is now adamant that the market should operate independently without Fed guidance. So the Walsh is not going to come out trying to job on the markets, trying to help out the banks outright with his Fed speech. He's going to let things unfold and then respond, which means more volatility, more turbulence. Expect the VIX to continue to probably trend upward. But then Donald Trump has to always counter whatever that is with a tweet about the stock market. And what's going to be caught in the crosshairs happens to be Bitcoin and the metals in the crypto space. Those are going to be caught in the crosshairs. Okay, but it says the bond market will soon be the most talked about component of global capital markets. This is not sustainable. So here we are again, flirting with all-time previous highs that sent us to territory where the government can't be because of this right here. Uncle Sam has to be very careful because this number doesn't stop. Because this number doesn't stop, that means this number must also go up, the M2. And since Donald Trump's been in office, we've been chugging right along, and everything is supposed to be great. Our economy's booming, according to Trump, right? Because this number for sure keeps going up. So anyway, this is just what's happening. Share my 2 cents on a variety of subject matter. And these are going to be very interesting times in the days ahead because you're going to have more distractions and diversion tactics like never before. But all along, our government is hijacked, obviously now. Metals will be a threat to them at some point. So they're going to continue to put downward pressure on silver, gold, and everything in between. Bitcoin will be protected by our government because they need people in that direction before they go back to gold and silver. And the cover will be the stock market to make sure it goes up. Because if it goes up, gold and silver remain where they at. But if the stock market come down, or the housing market, or the private credit market, or the bond market continue to go up, any of those things break, then we're going to have the Kevin Walsh pivot, like I mentioned months ago. They're going to drop rates so fast. Yeah, we're off to the races, people. So in the meantime, one thing is for sure, based upon the way I see things, is right now silver and gold might be the cheapest nominal value wise that we're going to see ever again. Even if it goes down to 55 or 50 or 49, think about the premium on top of that. Think about the actual ability to secure as much as you want, which is not as easy as it used to be. So yeah, take advantage of the manipulation is the whole point. But anyway, just checking in, share my 2 cents. Hopefully something throughout here was shared that was of value, that warrants your desire to voluntarily or involuntarily hit the thumbs up button to show support for your boy. I appreciate those who bless me with their presence. So if you haven't, make sure you subscribe, stay plugged in, hit the bell, drop a comment, share your 2 cents. And I got other subjects that don't really fit into this here. So I might do another live stream because the markets aren't closed yet. And it's good to say we're going to have some more of that action in the meantime. But for those who are checking in, I apologize for the music earlier. I wasn't aware of it being so loud. So that's just what it is. But anyway, all right, I'm long-winded now. So anyway, enjoy your week. If I don't see you again, love, live,